Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's August the 9th, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com. Joined once again this morning by our cranky managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And man, since our last show, my phones have been ringing off the hook. People are asking, what is wrong with Matt? Why is Matt so miserable? Why is Matt so cranky? Why is Matt so negative? This is a season of, I'm going to call it a festival of happiness that's about to begin here on the 31st of August. And Matt Shodell is not yet on the train. And we've got a few more weeks. Well, the Miami Hurricanes have a few more weeks to get him on that train that's going to be headed north up the turnpike and with a little veer on I-75 towards Gainesville. And I finally got to the bottom of it. But like you guys know that, well, first of all, I'll tell you, my phone's been ringing off the hook. People are really worried about Matt. But I said, you know what? I gotta look into this a little bit more. And as you guys know, we're very limited to report on what we see and hear out at Green Tree. This is a really big football game on August 31st, and they're trying to keep a lid on just about everything. But finally, the clue that I was looking for that Matt was so cranky, miserable, dismayed about finally came out during our media sessions yesterday when cornerback Jadaeus Richards stepped to the podium to talk to the media. And one of the things that he revealed, which brought all this into focus for me, was that the defensive backs that are supposed to be the weakness of this football team, okay? There's nobody out there that's a pundit in college football or the Hurricanes or whatever that hasn't pointed a finger to these defensive backs and said they are going to be the weak link of this football team. Well, guess what? In the first week of practice, they've intercepted 20 passes, okay? 20 passes, okay? And I finally came to the conclusion Matt knew about this, and he's been steaming over this development for several days now, because the offense that all of us are looking remarkably forward to watching this year might have been stumbling a little bit in the first week of training camp, and I'm totally convinced now that is what had Matt Shodell cranky the other morning when we last did our Good Morning CaneSport show. And quite frankly, he was out of control. Okay. And you know, he's trying to get me to remove him from the show. And I had all these people calling me, you got to get Matt out of there. You know, I'll come do the show. A lot of fans want to come do the show in place of Matt. I don't know why. I don't see why they want to get up with us at 5 a.m. But just wanted everybody to know that I'm pretty sure that was the source of Matt's angst, was that the offense was not dominant in the first week of camp, and that the defense really was doing pretty well, to the point where when Mario Cristobal met with us yesterday, he flat declared the defense, you know, absolutely had won that day as well. So Matt, I hope I'm right. I'll give you the opportunity to come clean. Your thoughts on these latest developments?
First, I'd like to read a brief release that I wrote. I do not apologize for anything I said. All right? Because, like, it's just what I think. People take it so seriously. You know, I've been covering the team for, how many years? 23 years. You know, I haven't seen everything Gary's seen. You know, I wasn't around when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth or anything. But, you know, like, people act like I'm saying the sky's falling. All I'm saying is the sky's a little bit lower. The sky's lower. That's all. It hasn't fallen. But, you know, I can't remember covering the team for 23 years now, anywhere close to even 15 interceptions in the first 8 days, let alone 20, you know. And, the common sense aspect, look, you can say that, well, the DBs know the offense, they know all the routes everyone's running, so of course they're going to get interceptions. But do you see this at every other school in the country? Have we seen this previously at Miami? No. So that common sense throws that out to me. To me, what it really is, it's one of three. It's one of three options, right? Either the defensive backs are absolutely off the charts good, which is possible, but common sense says there's three really good DBs on the team. And, they're saying O.J. Frederick's one of the best cornerbacks. He's a true freshman. So for me to believe that Jaden Harris has taken a huge jump up and that a true freshman who was recruited fairly well by a lot of teams but wasn't, a 5-star or anything, like that these guys are these amazing playmakers, or that the other backups are. Because to me, there's three solid DBs that are proven, and really two, Michelle Powell and Darryl Porter. I'd put Damari Brown right after them, and I'd put as number 4 proven guy as Deani Hill, but he was at Marshall and he wasn't great. He was just good at Marshall, pretty good against a much lower level of competition. So that's one of the three options. The DBs are great. I personally don't think it's that. God forbid I say that. Okay. The other option is the receivers aren't that good. The passing game isn't that good. The quarterbacks aren't that good. I find that hard to believe. We know that Xavier Restrepo and Jacoby George are good. We know that Sam Brown is good. We have a pretty good feeling that Cam Ward's good, considering he led the number 4 passing offense in the country last year and was projected as a mid-round draft pick. I can't include that either. So now I've ruled out personally that the DBs are these amazing it's going to be a top 10 secondary. I've ruled out, me personally, that the receivers suck all of a sudden and that Cam Ward sucks all of a sudden, which leaves only one other option, which is that this is Shannon Dawson's fault. That's the only other option. It's one of those three.
Isn't it way too early to start pointing fingers at anybody?
No, because it's day 8. What else do you want to talk about? When a defensive back comes out and says we've had 20 interceptions, right? Fans want to know why. Is it because the DBs are amazing, or is it because the receivers suck? I don't think it's either of those. I'm just trying to share my opinion. I don't think it's either of those because fans immediately jump to the DBs are great or the receivers aren't doing well or the quarterbacks, aside from Cam Ward, suck. Well, Cam Ward's throwing some too, okay? But what I'm trying to say is I don't believe it's either of those. I think Shannon Dawson either hasn't done a full install yet, or this was not a complex offense they ran last year, which was part of the problem. They had a lot of talent last year, right? They had Mark Fletcher doing really well. They had Henry Parrish doing really well. They had 2 essentially 1,000-yard receivers when Jacoby George's head was on straight. Tyler Van Dyke has an NFL arm. I hate to tell people that. He's not a terrible quarterback when his head's on straight and when he's being coached properly. He's really not bad. He's not bad. Look at his first year. I mean, he was in the Heisman race entering the following year. He was projected by some people as an NFL first-round pick entering the final year. He was the ACC Rookie of the Year on offense. We don't have to rehash all that. But you saw him not live up to his potential, obviously. You saw an offense that just couldn't get any explosive consistency going down the field last year. And you could say, yeah, the players weren't good enough. Tyler Van Dyke, it was all his fault. What concerns me is maybe this is an offense that needs to be expanded a little bit, and maybe it will be. Again, it's day 8 in practice, right? They're going to put more in. It's a new quarterback. Sam Brown's a new receiver. They got a freshman tight end who's going to be playing a big role. Jordan Lyle, I think, is going to be playing a lot at running back. They have a brand new running back, Damian Martinez, right? So the offense, I think it's okay for them to maybe not have everything down pat. I think it's okay. We're going to find out over the next week or two because they're going to have 2 scrimmages over the next 2 Saturdays. But if we keep hearing for the next 2 weeks that the offense isn't right, I'm putting the blame on Shannon Dawson. That's just me because I know these receivers are good enough. We've seen it. I know Cam Ward is good enough. He's shown it. So what's left? If the DBs, you can argue the DBs are the greatest DBs in the country and are top 10 secondary. I'm not buying it. The quarterbacks aren't getting hit, first of all. Okay, so it's not like that you can say, the defensive line's forcing all these errant throws. The QBs are standing there. They're not getting hit. Okay, that's part of practice. I don't know if fans know that. The QBs, literally there's a rule, you can't hit the quarterback. Okay, so it's not like the quarterbacks are running for their lives and are getting slammed to the ground and stuff like that. And are, you know how that goes. If it gets in a quarterback's head, he's going to get hit all the time. That's not the case. So, that's just my thought on it. As for me being negative, yeah, I'm negative. Like, that's what 20 years of being in hell does to me. The fact that some Miami Hurricane fans out there aren't negative, it just means you're not a real fan, people. If you're a real Miami Hurricanes fan, you should be miserable and feel like a loser just like I do, all right? There's no reason you should be happy. If you're a real fan, if you live and die by how the Miami Hurricanes do, and if you're ages 40 to 80, right? You should be a miserable mother effer just like me, because that's what has happened for 20 years. Like, explain to me why people should be happy. Like, again, show me. They're not showing me through 8 days of practice. Okay? Show me in practice and then show me against Florida. That's what I want to see. That's when I will be happy.
All right. Take notes. Take notes like I do. I've learned to bring a notepad with me to this show because, you say so much that percolates inside me while you're talking, and I can't always remember it. All right, you said the sky is lower. It's not falling, but the sky is lower. Okay, that's the first thing I'm going to dispute. The sky isn't lower. Okay, like if the defensive backs are markedly improved from where they were a year ago, that's not a lower sky. That is an amazing development. Okay, that is a positive to the max. I know, Matt, you can't deal in positives. And I know. I wear these things from time to time. I get it. But let me tell you something. That is a positive if the defensive backs are playing better. Now, last year, let's think about last year. You had Cam Kinchins and James Williams at safety. Okay. James Williams was playing out of position. I will never, ever lose that thought. I've said it for multiple years. He should have moved to linebacker. He was an okay safety, just an okay safety, okay? Cam Kinchins, I took all kinds of abuse from all over the place, but I consistently said that he was overhyped, that he gambled a lot, made a lot of mistakes, and actually over 2 years, without question, had a leading role in 4 losses that I can just remember off the top of my head. Okay, and I'm not I like Cam. Cam's a great guy. He's now he's trying to make the NFL, the whole thing. But like they had his name up in the rafters. I thought that was ridiculous. But he's gone now, so I'm not going to go on and on about that. Okay, but my point is this: what if the personnel is better? What if Mish Powell is better than Cam Kinchins or James Williams? What if Jaden Harris, his speed is a differentiator that makes him as good or better than James or Cam? Okay, that's I'll throw that out right now. Cornerbacks, they have more depth than they've had. We're hearing good things about these young kids, Frederic and Ryan Mack, and of course they got the veterans, Porter, Damari Brown. They got Deani Hill from Marshall, who knows the defense. So it's like bringing a veteran back into the mix. They've got more bodies. They are better equipped this year than they were a year ago. So if they are playing better, if they know what they're doing better, if they're not making mistakes, if they're not gambling, and yes, I'm sure it helps, like Matt said, that they know every route in the Miami playbook as they watch it over and over and over again every day in practice. If all that put together is allowing them to be a better unit going into this season, hallelujah, man. That is not a lower sky. That is a sky that the clouds are clearing, and you got blue skies out there with hues of orange and green in the horizon. Okay, because that is a great development for this football team. So I hope that this is not a bunch of nonsense. I hope Judeus had his count correct, and that they really have had 20 interceptions. I hope that's correct, because the offense can fix this. Okay, the offense can get their act better together. On good teams, the offense always starts slow the first week of camp. So I hope all of this is true. Okay, and then there's the other thing I'm going to point out. Okay, and that is they have a new coach. Okay, Chavez Jackson, and maybe he's just connecting better with his guys than Coach Adai did. Okay, there's a reason Coach Adai is not here anymore. Okay, maybe these guys are just connecting better with their new coach.
I could save you a lot of breath. I could literally say in 2 sentences
maybe he's teaching them better. Maybe he's doing a better job.
literally in 2 sentences, I could tell you why you shouldn't have been talking for the last 10 minutes, which is just common sense. It's just common sense. If a receiver is well covered or in double coverage, a good quarterback doesn't throw it there, right? So 20 interceptions, whether he's coaching them better or not, that ball shouldn't be thrown 20 times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking about how the DBs are so great. Why are the quarterbacks throwing those balls?
No, I'm going to throw something else out. I was on a roll till you interrupted me. The next thing I'm going to throw out is the pass rush is deeper and better than it was a year ago. And maybe the quarterbacks aren't just getting to sit back there and, pick their spots the way that they would like to. Maybe they're harried a little bit. I know they're not being tackled. They're just being, touched or whatever. But maybe they don't have the time to throw. Maybe there is more disruption in front of them because the Miami pass rush is going to be so good this year. So that's another factor I'm going to throw in. And then the last I'll throw in, you mentioned, which is they're not fully installed yet. Okay. They're about 75, 80% installed on their base offense. I mean, hopefully Shannon Dawson will be throwing some game planning plays in each week, depending on the opponent, to exploit the weaknesses of who they're playing. But the offense is not fully installed yet. And they've also only had 2 practices in pads. Okay. So you put all that together, there's a lot of reasons why one side or the other might be doing well or better than the other. Certainly nothing to be miserable about. Certainly nothing to be cranky about. Certainly not anything to exude this absolutely miserable mindset that you have been exuding on this show that is forcing all of these fans across the entire Hurricane universe to slam my text messages, call me on the telephone, hit my emails, bombarding me over this ridiculous concern.
There's an easy way to fix that.
You'd be wrong with Matt Shodell.
There's an easy way to fix it. Just fix it. Fix the problem. Take me off this side of the screen. You won't have this problem anymore. You can live in peace and harmony with the rest of your deluded fans who seem to think the team's great every year.
Okay, now
I still predicted 10. I still predicted 10 and 2.
I had you off the screen. Do you know how many people out there who love you, man? Like, they love you. Like, there are a lot of people that love you, and I'm not
so
giving
much.
people heart attacks at 6:00 in the morning. It's like that's a happy time. You've had a good night.
You do know I still stand by my 10 and 2 prediction, right? Like, I'm just saying there are some warts, that make this team look like Gary Ferman sometimes.
That way, you had people in a tizzy. They do respect your opinion, and people are fired up for this season. And you have people feeling like they're going to win 6 or 7 games again. I'm gonna give out the number 7. You did.
I'm gonna give show. No, I said they could win 7. I said they could win 7 and 12 games. Yeah, 7 to 12. I'm gonna give a word of advice.
People drive off the highway. People are going to work. They're riding with their kids. They have kids that like to listen to the show with them. Like, they're like crashing into those Bob's barricades on the side of the highway. I mean, people were legitimately concerned after the last show. So anyway, I think we got to the bottom of it. Thank you, Judeus Richard. You guys can read that story on the website this morning. But the DBs are surging in practice, and it's creating a little bit of discomfort out there at Green Tree. To me, that's a good thing. Okay, there's nothing worse than being comfortable a week into a 4-week training camp when you're playing the Florida Gators on August the 31st. Okay, this is not, they're not playing tiddlywinks. Okay, this is big boy football. If it makes guys work harder, if it makes guys spend more time in the film room, hallelujah. Okay, that's, so to me, the sky's not falling. These are always positive developments. All right, let me move on from that subject. And so we do have, like I said, we have that story with Judeus Richard. It's on the website. We had the chance to talk to Mario Cristobal quite a bit yesterday and get an update on, from him on how he feels about the team. And you sense that he really likes the effort he's getting from his players. He likes the level of physicality, which is really picking up now that they're in full pads. Mario wants a physical football team. So he's really He's really fired up about that. He was fired up about he feels like the players' techniques and fundamentals are in a much better place than they've been in the past. And he feels like the communication is really good. And remember, you've got coaches now on headsets and walkie-talkies with the quarterback, and offensively, that's going to help a lot. It really is. It's going to help Shannon Dawson a lot to be able to communicate instantaneously like that with Cam Ward. So overall, you did not get any panic, and obviously Mario's seeing all of this and then some, obviously, because after practice he's watching it over and over again on film. No panic, no concern. This is a head coach that's confident in his guys. And Matt, I don't know what you took out of what Mario had to say yesterday, but I got the sense that he feels pretty good about the progress they've made in week 1.
I mean, he said the team was terrible, so I agree with him. No, he didn't say that. And neither did I, by the way, even though fans want to think I did. But listen, a couple of things. So part, and Gary talked for a while, so I'll just, I don't keep notes because I can actually remember things. Unlike him, he's got to write them down. But the whole thing about me being so negative, you go on, and I read other sites, and all this other stuff. Like, they're almost like they're scared to write anything bad. And I get it. Because I've been around too long. Miami isn't happy with people like me. Like, I don't blame them, They don't want reporters saying, hey, maybe this is a problem. Hey, maybe that's a problem. They just want us to say, hey, running back's room looks great. Ruben Bain's a monster. Keem Messidor's a monster. This defensive line's the best we've seen since 2001. The cornerbacks are amazing. Like, that's what we're supposed to be saying. But, like, I'm not a North Korea journalist. Like, that's my problem. That's why people hate me. And I don't blame them, But, like, for a perfect example, like, and I follow the rules. I'm a rule follower. That's my only problem. I wish I wasn't, but I am. Shout out to George Million, who was the greatest reporter at not following the rules. Oh, and also, there were some others, but I won't go into all that. One of them covers the Dolphins right now. And he used to sit up in the corner of the bleachers when we weren't allowed to watch practice because he found a corner in the upper edge of the bleachers where he could watch most of the practice field hidden all the way up there when practices were closed. So shout out to my buddy who I used to play racquetball with all the time. I'll say his name, Omar Kelly, because he doesn't cover the team anymore. He probably doesn't even care. He probably thinks it's funny. So Omar used to do that. George Million, they would tell us, stay here. Don't go listen to the door of the locker room after a loss or something. He'd be over the door of the locker room listening, Those were like real journalists, and now it just turned into this, I don't know what the word, there's got to be a word for it, but I don't know what it is. But, ever since the craziness with Kellen Winslow II and Paul D shutting things down, it's like Miami has not wanted us to say a word. And a prime example, for instance, now we can say it, but we couldn't say it before, God forbid. Jacoby George has a cast on his hand, and now he doesn't. But, like, God forbid, for the first 7 days or 6 practices, which were, 8 days, God forbid we say, oh, my gosh, he's got a finger problem and he has a cast on his hand. He talked to us yesterday and he said he's fine now. But, like, we were, literally people were multiple times coming up to us. You can't say that. You can't say this. You can't talk about this. You can't talk about that. Like a good journalist, they report what they see. They report what they hear. They report what they learn. And, like, I'm sort of following the rules. I don't want to ruin it for everybody else and say this guy's hurt, that guy's hurt, this guy, this or the other thing. This is what I'm hearing. Like, I'm not going to do that. But I do share my overall observations, just sort of combining everything I hear from different places. And, like, that's just what comes out of my mouth, and people don't like it and people get upset and they bother Gary about it. They don't bother me because they know I don't care. And, like, it is what it is, And I don't remember the subject of the conversation we're having. I think it's about Mario Cristobal talking yesterday. But, Mario is he's like the North Korean leader in the sense that, he's the party line. What he says goes. And if, for instance, last year, I know for instance, Sha'Carri Brown, right, went on some podcast that wasn't approved and said stuff he wasn't supposed to, like, that had repercussions. So players are also kept under this, umbrella of say the right thing, do the right thing, act the right way, do not let the outside know what's going on the inside. And, like, that's why this perception's out there that everything's great. team's going to be amazing. Even these national writers who talk to some people down at Miami, the people they're talking to at Miami, of course they're saying everything's amazing and the best they've ever seen. That's what they say every year, but now Miami's getting more attention because they got Cam Moore, they got Damian Martinez. They actually have big name players and a chance to be great because they have an easy schedule. And it just seems on paper like this is the best team they've had probably in 20 years. So like that's the good news. But God forbid I squeeze in there and say this might be a problem. That might be a problem. I don't love that the quarterbacks are thrown into coverage and have been intercepted 20 times in 8 days. God forbid I say that, It's the truth. Like, I don't like that. I don't understand how it gets twisted by these people at Miami and these media mouthpieces that that's a good thing. It's not a good thing. When you think this offense is going to be what wins games and wins the championship because that's the strength of this team, it hasn't suddenly changed in 8 days that now the offense sucks and the defense is the greatest part of this team, okay? The offense will win this team a championship, not the defense. They spent the money on the offensive line. They spent the money at quarterback. They spent the money at running back. They got one of the top running backs in the country, one of the top quarterbacks in the country. They have one of the best offensive lines in the country. They got a great tight end back. They have a great freshman tight end. You can't convince me the defensive side has the same amount of talent with the same linebackers that are returned.
They may have as deep a defensive line as
anybody. You lose 4 defensive back starters, 2 of whom were drafted. You replace him with one guy who was a walk-on 5 years ago and was really pretty good at Washington, but he's a tweener. And then you replace another one with a guy at Marshall who was okay. And now all of a sudden the defensive backs are the most amazing thing on earth. The same linebackers from last year who were, I think Francis Malgo is excellent. But like the linebacker core as a unit, as a deep unit, I don't think they're that much better. Jalen Alderman will help. Wesley Bissainthe looks better, but he looked better last fall too in camp. He gets in games and he doesn't play the same way you see him practice. Some guys, that's what happens. I'm telling the truth. Okay, Wesley Bissainthe has looked really good in practices, and in games it hasn't translated. Will that be different this year? Maybe, but I have to see it. Again, all I keep telling people is I have to see it. I don't believe it until I see it because the mouthpieces out of North Korea don't always tell you the truth.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
Like just because you're reading on other sites that, oh my God, the defense line is the greatest thing ever. And oh my God, the secondary, these guys are going to be amazing. And I'm hearing this guy's great and this guy's stepping up. It doesn't mean it's true. That's all I'm trying to tell you guys, okay? Because it's all being twisted around, just like CNN and Fox, talking heads are going to do what they do. And I try to be in the middle. I'm an independent voter, as I think I've already said a million times. I try to be in the middle on everything and just tell the truth as I know it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but it's my truth. I know man never walked on the moon. That was fictional. I know the earth is flat. Totally fictional. No, I'm kidding, obviously. But you see what I'm saying? Like, there's people who believe those things, and there's conspiracy theorists out there for everything. And I'm not one to tell you that you're wrong if you think that the earth is flat, even though it appears it would be round. I'm not one to tell you that I have a good friend, actually, who thinks that we actually never reached the moon, okay? Really good friend who happens to be a physician and actually believes we never landed on the moon. Like, that's what this person believes. I'm not going to tell them.
In a studio out in Burbank.
Yeah, correct. It's not. Yeah, and the shadows this way, and the wind is blowing. There's no wind on the moon. My job's not to tell them they're wrong, but I can do my own research and come to my own conclusions, and that's what I do. I think we've walked on the moon. I think the Earth is round. I think the Miami Hurricanes have a lot of potential, but also a lot of troublesome things that I've heard out of camp so far. And it's been 8 days, and I'm not going to just sit here and be like, everything's great. Like, I'm sorry. People can hate me all they want. It's just what I do. I ruin everyone's day. That's my job.
Listen, everything you said is very fair. No argument from me. The only thing that I do think is that they have one of the deeper defensive lines. I got to believe in the country. I haven't studied Alabama and Georgia and all these teams, but I mean, Miami's as deep on the defensive line right now as it's been in quite some time. And hopefully that'll pay some good dividends when they go to Gainesville and beyond. Couple other things just that Mario touched on is, well, everybody's raving about Akeem Mesidor. He is back from his injury issues. I guess he's got the right shoes or whatever.
By the way, that is a difference maker. Like, that's a huge positive development this fall, because I was concerned when he did his special shoes that he was not going to be the same. This dude is a dude. Like, that's something we should be talking about, because that's a positive. That's one of the that's something that I will smile about, because that guy is going to wreck offenses. Looks really, really good. He's just got to stay healthy. He's still doing limited reps, believe it or not, this fall. So they got to keep him fresh.
Well,
But
they
when
got
he's
to
in games, he's a difference maker. He'll be a difference maker.
get him on the field. Yeah, he can't.
Well, they got to be careful. You know, they got to play him. He's been hurt now, I think, a couple of years in a row.
Yes.
And so they got to be careful. You know, some guys, it's just like that's how it goes with them. They're not like built to withstand 13 games and, 50, 60 reps a game. And they got to be real careful with him, especially using him inside with those big bodies and stuff. But if they use him the right way, man, he can have a great year.
Yeah. And so, so Mario talked about how he would like to see the defensive line take another step in terms of toughness and physicality and sort of play more like Messidor. So, that's normal stuff at the stage of training camp. Mark Fletcher's looking great. He's getting closer to being full speed. Probably about another week or so, they'll baby him in a little bit, but then he's going to be ready to rock and roll in plenty of time to get ready for the Gator game. Everyone's very impressed with Damian Martinez.
Can I make my prediction? Can I make my crazy prediction of the year?
What's that?
Jordan Lyles, the number 2 back, and gets the second most yards rushing on the team. That's my crazy prediction of the year.
Back. They feel pretty good about this kid, and they are not going to hold him back. If he's better than Fletcher, he'll be out there more than Fletcher. I think Fletcher, you want to make sure you get him through the season too, maybe even more so than Messidor. He's been hurt 2 years in a row. He got hurt in high school also. These guys that are showing a tendency to get hurt, there is now more depth on this team, and they'll be able to hopefully nurse these guys through a little bit better than maybe they have been able to in the past. The story with Mario is on the website. Make sure you guys check that out. Before I go through some of the other things on the website today, let me take the moment right now to say, if you are on YouTube right now and you like this show, like this channel, hit your subscribe and like buttons. It does help us with the algorithms at YouTube and growing our audience. If you are not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, or you have friends that are not yet subscribers to CaneSport.com, I am making my plea to you guys now. We need more subscribers. Please head on over, tell your friends to head on over to CaneSport.com and become a member, join our community of fans. We got a great group on the website every day, on the message boards. You will not be sorry you did. Your subscriptions do allow us to do what we do every single day, and which is really to do everything that we can do, even if Matt's cranky. Everything that we can do to enhance your fan experience. And I don't know if Matt's crankiness enhances your fan experience.
No, it doesn't.
I know some people get a kick out of it.
Nobody gets a kick out of it. Everyone hates it. I don't care.
But either way, your subscriptions are really important to us. And please head on over to CaneSport.com and become a member. All right, other things on the website today. We continue our Inside the Lines series today with a sit down with Samson Okanola. He says he's at his best right now. He is engrossed in competition with Matthew McCoy to get in the starting lineup. They are cross-training everybody up front. They even had Francis Maganoa playing left guard the other day, presumably so they can give Markel Bell first-team reps at right tackle. There's a lot of competition going on that offensive line. They're mixing, matching. Alex Mirabal goes in after practice. He studies the film. He's trying to figure out who his 5 best guys are. But the thing that's going to be different this year, he's going to have 4 to 5 sitting behind those 5 that he feels very comfortable putting in the game at any time. So Miami is deeper on the O-line. But anyway, so we have a sit down with Samson that hopefully you guys will enjoy. We've got a story with Dylan Joyce talking about how confident he is going into year 2 at Miami. He had a great first year, came from Australia, fit right in, thought he did really, really, really well. We have a story with Jacoby George talking about the finger injury that limited him a little bit early in camp, but now he's back to full speed. A story with receiver Sam Brown, the transfer from Houston, who something could really end up being one of the key pieces to the Miami offense. He's an explosive guy, a big play guy. He's got experience in Shannon Dawson's offense. So check out our story with Sam Brown. we got our fall camp mailbag. I've been taking questions from the fans after the first week of practice, answering everybody's questions. You could find that on the website today. We also have a couple recruiting stories. We got a story on linebacker commit Ezekiel Marcelin. He is still being pursued by ACC competitors, but we feel that he is pretty solid with Miami. And we also have a really cool story. You might recognize this last name. There's a 2026 four-star center by the name of Grant Wise. And you'll remember that his dad, Ty Wise, played for Miami, and now Grant is a recruit, and we look forward to watching his progress this year and think there's a really good chance that he ends up in this class. Miami loves him. He's got offers from more than 24 programs, including Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and Florida. Kid can flat play. We are very hopeful that Grant Wise will be part of the 2026 recruiting class. So you could start getting familiar with him in the story that's on the website today. The Hurricanes will be scrimmaging this Saturday. As usual, we will do the best we can do to bring you whatever details we can from that. I'm not going to promise you it's going to be real detailed, but we will do the best we can to give you guys as much info.
I'm sure they're going to give us all the information and stats. What are you talking about? We'll have everything.
Yeah, we'll do the best we can to not, as long as it doesn't compromise getting ready for Florida. Let's put it that way. But that's going to conclude today's Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you so much for starting out your morning with us. Those of you that were in distress the last couple of days, hope you feel a little bit better about Matt's mental state of mind. Much more stable. I'll use the word stable. Matt Shodell this morning. I think he explained himself better and wasn't like off the cliff the way he was the other day. So hopefully this is the new Matt that we will have for the duration going forward, and everybody can rest comfortably. So for that Matt, the new Matt, not the old Matt, I'm Gary Ferman. Thanks for joining us once again, everybody, and we'll see you next time.